You have been lied to about what makes a person attractive. Our culture sells a very loud, very flashy, and very fragile version of attractiveness. It's a highlight reel of witty comebacks, perfectly curated social media feeds, luxurious possessions, and the relentless pursuit of external validation. We are taught that to be attractive is to be seen, to be noticed, to be the center of attention. But this is an exhausting game, and its rewards are fleeting. It is a constant performance that leaves us feeling anxious and insecure. What if the most profound, unshakable form of attractiveness has nothing to do with any of this? What if it is not loud, but quiet? What if it is not about seeking attention, but about commanding respect through your very presence? There exists a kind of inner composure, a quiet confidence so solid and self-contained that it creates its own gravitational field. It doesn't need to chase, it draws people and opportunities in naturally. This is not a magnetic personality you are born with. It is a mental fortress you build. The ancient Stoics, masters of the inner world, understood that true power, and by extension, true attractiveness, are byproducts of a disciplined mind. They knew that what makes a person truly captivating is not what they project, but the solid core from which they operate. Today, we are going to deconstruct the architecture of this quiet power. We will explore 7 foundational principles, the disciplined knowledge that transform you from someone who chases validation into someone who radiates a calm, self-possessed gravity. This is your guide to building the kind of attractiveness that no one can give you, and no one can take away. 1. The principle of the inner verdict, the end of people-pleasing. The single greatest obstacle to genuine attractiveness is the desperate need for external approval. It makes us chameleons, constantly changing our colors to match our surroundings. We soften our opinions, laugh at jokes we don't find funny, and say yes when we mean no. This neediness is repulsive. It signals to the world that our sense of self is so fragile that it must be validated by others. The first and most critical discipline is to reclaim the role of the judge. You must stop outsourcing your self-worth to a random, distracted, and often unqualified jury of your peers. You must become your own Supreme Court. The core shift. The goal is to move your locus of control from external to internal. Your sense of a successful interaction is no longer based on, did they like me, but on, did I act in accordance with my values? The Stoic knowledge. A person's opinion of you is completely outside of your control. It is a product of their own mood, their own biases, their own history. Wasting your energy trying to manage their opinion is a fool's errand. The only thing you can control is your own character and your own actions. The application. Before you enter a social situation, a meeting, a date, a party, you define your internal victory conditions. For example, my goal for this event is to listen more than I speak, to ask thoughtful questions, and to be honest. If you do those things, you have won, regardless of whether you were the most popular person in the room. When you stop trying to win everyone over, you develop a calm, self-possessed energy that is, ironically, far more attractive. People can sense when they are talking to someone who isn't trying to get something from them, and that authenticity is magnetic. 2. The principle of the economy of speech, the power of listening. In a world filled with noise, silence is a statement. Most people use words to fill space, to signal their intelligence, or to calm their own anxiety. They talk over others. They rush to give their opinion. They dominate conversations. This behavior, while common, broadcasts neediness and a lack of composure. The truly attractive person understands that attention is a currency, and they spend it wisely. They have mastered the economy of speech. The Stoic knowledge. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, famously said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This isn't just a quaint proverb, it's a profound strategic insight. When you are listening, you are gathering information. When you are talking, you are revealing information. In most situations, the person who is gathering information holds the advantage. The application. In your next conversation, make it your primary mission to understand the other person, not to be understood. Resist the urge to interrupt with your own story. Ask clarifying questions. Give the other person the rare and intoxicating gift of your full, undivided attention. When you do speak, your words will have more weight because you have not been squandering them. You will be responding to what was actually said, not just waiting for your turn to talk. The effect. This makes you incredibly attractive for two reasons. First, everyone is starved for genuine attention. By providing it, you make people feel seen and valued, which is an intensely positive experience. Second, it creates an aura of mystery and confidence. People who are comfortable with silence and who listen intently are perceived as powerful. They don't seem to have a desperate need to prove themselves. Their quiet focus is captivating. 3. The principle of purposeful direction, the allure of a mission. Have you ever met someone who seems to be drifting through life? They have no strong opinions, no clear goals, no driving passion. Their life is a reaction to their circumstances. While they may be pleasant, they are not compelling. Now, contrast that with someone who is on a mission. They have a clear sense of purpose, a project they are building, a skill they are mastering, a direction they are heading. Even if their mission is small, their focused energy is palpable. This is the attractiveness of a purposeful direction. The Stoic knowledge. The Stoics believed that the goal of life was to live with arete, or virtue and excellence. This requires a clear purpose. Without a purpose, you are like a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the waves of other people's expectations and your own fleeting moods. The application. You must define your mission. This does not have to be a grand, world-changing goal. It can be intensely personal. Your mission could be to become the best craftsman in my field, to raise kind and resilient children, or to master a new language. The what is less important than the having of a what. A clear purpose acts as an internal anchor. It gives you a reason to say no to distractions. It provides a source of internal validation. The effect. A person with a mission is inherently attractive because they are not needy. Their life is not a void that needs to be filled by someone else's attention or approval. They are already occupied with their own important work. This self-contained focus creates a powerful gravitational pull. Others become curious about your mission and want to be near the energy it creates. 4. The principle of composure, the gravity of a calm mind. The single most underrated attractive quality is composure. Think about it. In a moment of crisis, chaos, or conflict, who do you look to? Who do you trust? Who do you want to be near? It is always the person who remains calm. Composure is not the absence of emotion. It is the mastery of it. It is the ability to feel anger, anxiety, or fear without being controlled by them. In a world that is increasingly reactive and emotionally volatile, a calm mind is a superpower. The Stoic knowledge. The foundational principle of Stoicism is that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them. A traffic jam is not inherently stressful. It is our judgment. This is a disaster. I'm going to be late. That creates the stress. The application. You must practice separating the external event from your internal reaction. The key is the strategic pause. When a frustrating event occurs, you train yourself to pause before you react. In that pause, you observe your initial emotional surge without judgment, and then you consciously choose a more rational response. You see the rising anger as a cloud passing through the sky of your mind. You acknowledge it, but you don't have to become the storm. The effect. A composed person is a pillar of strength. People are subconsciously drawn to them, especially in times of stress, because they offer a sense of safety and stability. Their calm is a refuge. This is not a passive quality. It is an active force. The ability to remain centered while the world spins out of control is perhaps the most powerful form of silent attractiveness there is. 5. The principle of generosity of spirit, giving without a ledger. Many interactions in life are transactional. You do this for me, I'll do that for you. There is a constant, often unspoken keeping of score. This transactional mindset creates anxiety and erodes trust. A person who is constantly calculating what they can get from others radiates a subtle tension that is deeply unattractive. The Stoic ideal is to act with virtue for its own sake. The discipline here is to cultivate a generosity of spirit. The Stoic knowledge, Marcus Aurelius compared acting with virtue to a vine producing grapes or a bee making honey. They do what they are meant to do, and they don't ask for payment or applause afterwards. They do it because it is their nature. The truly strong person helps, supports, and gives because it is the right thing to do, not because they are keeping a ledger of favors. The application. Look for small opportunities to help others without any expectation of return. Let someone go ahead of you in line. Offer a sincere compliment to a colleague on their work. Share a useful piece of information with your network without asking for anything. The effect. This creates a powerful and attractive aura. When you interact with people without a hidden agenda, they can feel it. They relax. They trust you. Your presence feels like a gift, not a transaction. This giving without a ledger signals immense self-sufficiency. It says, I have so much inner resource that I can afford to give my energy away freely. This is the opposite of neediness, and it is incredibly compelling. 6. The principle of indifference to the trivial. The elegance of focus. Your attention is your most precious, non-renewable resource. Every second you spend on trivialities, pointless arguments, online drama, celebrity gossip, things you cannot control, is a second you cannot invest in your purpose. A person who is constantly distracted by the trivial appears scattered, unfocused, and weak. The unshakable person practices a disciplined indifference to the non-essential. The Stoic knowledge. The Stoics distinguished between what is good, bad, and indifferent. The only true good is virtue, your character. The only true bad is vice. Everything else, money, health, reputation, what other people are doing, is technically indifferent. This doesn't mean you don't care about these things, but it means you do not attach your core happiness or peace of mind to them. The application. You must become a ruthless guardian of your focus. When you find yourself being pulled into a pointless debate or getting worked up about a news story you can't influence, you must practice the art of saying to yourself, this is not essential, this does not deserve my attention. The effect. This creates an aura of quiet elegance and focus. A person who is not easily distracted by the latest outrage or drama seems to be operating on a higher plane. They have a sense of priority and weight. Their focus on what truly matters makes them seem more substantial, more serious, and more attractive. 7. The principle of self-care, respecting the vessel. There is a quiet dignity in someone who takes care of themselves. This is not about vanity. It is about respect. It is the understanding that your mind, your body, and your spirit are the tools you have to navigate the world, and a master craftsman takes excellent care of his tools. A person who neglects themselves, through poor health habits, a lack of sleep, or mental clutter, projects an energy of chaos and self-disrespect. The Stoic knowledge. The Stoics believe that while the body is an indifferent, we have a duty to care for it appropriately, as it is the vessel that houses our reason. You cannot have a clear, disciplined mind in a chronically exhausted and unhealthy body. The application. This is the discipline of the basics. Prioritize your sleep as if it were a critical business meeting. Move your body, not to achieve a certain look, but to honor its capabilities and generate energy. Be mindful of what you consume, both in terms of food and information. The effect. A person who respects themselves enough to practice self-care radiates a silent confidence. They have a vitality and a centeredness that is palpable. This is not about looking perfect, it is about feeling solid. This inner solidity, this sense of being well cared for from the inside out, is a foundational element of true attractiveness. A practical exercise, the presence audit. These principles only become real through practice. The foundation of many of these attractive qualities is presence. Here is a simple drill to train your ability to be present. The drill. I call this the presence audit. The instructions. For the next 24 hours, during every single conversation you have, your secret mission is to make the other person feel like they are the most important person in the world in that moment. Put your phone away, not just face down on the table, out of sight. Make eye contact, not an aggressive stare, but a gentle, attentive focus. Listen to their last word. Do not think about what you are going to say next while they are still talking. Wait for them to completely finish their thought before you formulate your own. Ask one clarifying question. Before sharing your own story, ask one question that shows you were listening. For example, what was the most difficult part of that for you? The purpose. This exercise is incredibly difficult, and you will fail at it repeatedly. But the act of trying forces you to practice several of the pillars at once: the economy of speech, composure, and generosity of spirit. It trains you to get out of your own head and focus your energy outward, which is the secret to all genuine connection. The final lesson is this: true, lasting attractiveness is not a performance you put on for others. It is the natural radiation of a well-ordered inner life. It is the byproduct of discipline, purpose, composure, and self-respect. It is not something you chase, it is something you become. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Your work begins now. It begins with a single, small act of disciplined practice. Your challenge is to try the presence audit in just one conversation today. To commit to this first step, go to the comments below and write a simple declaration. I will listen. This is a commitment to yourself, a promise to begin building the quiet strength that draws others in. If this guide has provided you with a new understanding of attractiveness, a like helps it find others who are tired of the noisy, superficial game. And to continue exploring this path, consider subscribing. Thank you for being here. It's time to stop chasing attention and start building your own gravity.